In this video, we'll be looking at some of the most scary and creepy TikToks that are going to give you chills.
Disturbing moments caught at McDonald's.
Oh, he
This
looked
woman,
creepy.
fed up with waiting for her food at a McDonald's, begins trashing the store and throwing things at the staff behind the counter. She starts by simply looking fed up before the clip cuts, and she comes in from off camera. She throws a bucket, containers, wet floor signs, and more. All we can see are other guests trying to get away from her and the employees trying to scramble out of the line of fire.
Yeah, she wrecking
Terrifying
stuff.
signs that you won't believe actually exist. Part 5. If you can read this, you are standing inside a minefield. Falling rock. Caution, this vehicle may wreck or explode at any time. Beware of acid drip from above. Warning, fish contaminated with mercury. Do not eat. Beware of falling snakes. You're probably not expecting to drown today. Warning, sirens or lights mean get out of the river now. Water will rise rapidly.
Here are some of the creepiest moments ever captured on live TV. Part 1. In the 1980s, there was a Canadian TV show entitled Just Like Mom, hosted by a man named Fergie Oliver. The majority of the contestants featured on the show were young girls typically under the age of 13, and the hosts would always
Oh, this
try
already
to
getting
kiss them.
creepy. Oh,
You might assume that
pedo.
these were innocent little kisses on the cheek, but this is something entirely different, and the footage is quite disturbing.
Look at me a little closer. They're green. Can I have a little kiss, please? Oh,
That's
here,
creepy.
Allison, you're gonna win the show, boy. You miss.
Creepy.
Fergie Oliver went on to host 595 episodes of Just Like Mom and star in countless other shows as well. The footage is one of the creepiest things that I've ever seen, and definitely the most disturbing thing that I can post on TikTok.
Some of the world's most bizarre and scariest cults. This is Cult 3. In 1974, Heaven's Gate was founded as a religious cult by Bonnie Nettles and Marshall Applewhite. Through the 1970s, they recruited hundreds and hundreds of people, until 1976, when they actually created a monastic lifestyle. The cult developed a religion known as ufology, which believed that if all their followers rejected their human bodies and gave it up, they would ascend to the next level through a extraterrestrial being. In 1997, in San Diego, the sheriff's office discovered in Applewhite's house 39 people who had ascended to the next level of their own being. As they took their own life, the website read, "The 22 years of classroom has come to an end, and it is time to ascend to the next level of creativity and
Disturbing
That's
movies
crazy.
you've
Them
never
cults
heard
are
of.
wild.
Imagine you got a new babysitting job, but when you walked in the door, you realized it wasn't what it seemed. A woman named Greta Evans gets hired for a babysitting job, and she has to move to the UK. Upon her arrival, she notices a massive mansion and tries to be polite and take off her shoes before entering. She meets Mr. and Mrs. Heelshire, who are the boys' parents. Mrs. Heelshire asks where Greta's shoes are, but when Greta goes to where she took them off, they are gone. Mrs. Heelshire says, "Don't worry, my son probably took them." Greta then asks to meet the son, and the parents take her to him. Greta is surprised that the son is a porcelain doll and thinks the parents are joking at first. They tell her that they are serious, and while they are out of town to follow this list of rules. Greta agrees but thinks the family is crazy and immediately doesn't do as asked. She wakes up to hearing strange noises coming from inside the house and starts investigating. If you want to watch this movie for yourself, go to downloader.world and download the
Yeah, that movie
Type
seems a little
777
wild.
in the search bar and enjoy. She then starts realizing the doll is real and begins treating him like a normal boy. A delivery driver comes to drop off the food and begins telling Greta the real story of the boy. Apparently, the boy was an 8-year-old psychopath and had a friend named Emily who went to play at the mansion but never returned. The next day, Greta's abusive ex-boyfriend confronts her and tries to get her to come home with him. She begins fighting him off and tells him that she can't leave the doll. The abusive boyfriend becomes angry and breaks the doll in pieces. The house begins shaking and the mirror shatters. A man in the same type of mask walks out of the mirror. This man in the mask turns out to be the real 8-year-old boy who is now grown. The truth is, when the 8-year-old boy was little, he murdered his friend Emily and his family faked his death in order to protect him. Make sure to like and follow for more videos.
Oh no,
Noah's
that was
Ark
crazy.
has actually been found. Even though a massive flood had proven to engulf Earth at one time, skeptics believe that Noah's Ark never happened. Due to the fact that it was impossible for an ark of that size to disappear without a trace. However, in recent times, archaeologists have found a giant boat shape on Mount Ariyat, measuring 515 feet which translates to 300 cubits long. You might be thinking that those measurements have no meaning at all, but it says in the Bible that God told Noah to build an ark that was 300 cubits long. So is this just a big coincidence, or do you think Noah's ark has actually been found?
Abandoned places then versus now.
What y'all think?
Pablo Escobar's mansion then. Now.
Dang, all run down.
When Pablo Escobar was captured and killed, his mansion was left abandoned for nearly 10 years. The estate was discovered by art collector Leo Malka, who decided to purchase the property and turn it into an artistic hotel.
Controversial cartoon episodes that were banned. In this 1933 episode of Betty Boop, Betty is visiting a small village in the mountains when suddenly, all the villagers start to pack up their things and flee their homes terrified. Confused, Betty asks a passing owl, who explains that the old man of the mountain is threatening the livelihood of the villagers, particularly the women. Despite the owl's warnings, Betty is curious and decides to trek up the mountainside to find out who is the old man.
Where you going, Betty?
Once Betty gets to the top of the mountain, the old man of the mountain emerges from behind a rock, showing us a very controversial scene that led to the episode being banned.
Look at that.
This is the scariest thing that ever
Betty.
happened to America. Okay, we all know that America had a lot of scary things happen to it. But what I'm about to tell you has to be the scariest thing ever. On August 29th, 1968, every single TV in America shut down. And a demonic whispering was coming from every single TV in America. Many people believed it was the devil trying to get across some sort of message, but nobody really understood it. This lasted for about 25 seconds, then all the TVs came back on. To this day, nobody knows what caused it or why it happened, but every single person believed it was the works of the devil.
These are the most disturbing things ever witnessed inside of a school. Warning, the longer you watch this video, the worse it's gonna get. The first one reads, 2 girls get into a fight in the cafeteria, shit goes down, hair pulling, kicking, slapping, all of a sudden someone yells for an ambulance. Turns out during the fight, one of the girls went into labor. I have no idea what I would do if I saw this. The second one reads, kids piss in a bucket, climb on the roof of the school, and pours it all over the freshman class. Back when I was in high school, if I would have been a freshman and somebody would have done this, I would have instantly started fighting. And this is the worst one of all that I found. The last one reads, in 5th grade we were having recess and one of my classmates was on a ladder beside a power line, and then it started lightning out of nowhere. It then struck the power line, which caused it to explode, and my classmate went flying. Thankfully he survived, but his nickname was Sparky for the rest of the year. Thank God the kid's okay, but I mean, you got a pretty cool nickname now. Make sure to like and follow for more videos.
Okay, Sparky. Now that's crazy, yo. These TikToks are wild. They're super creepy. A couple of them are a little bit disturbing, not gonna lie. If you like the content, don't forget to subscribe, turn your notification bell on, and until next time, YouTube, peace.